So hello and welcome to another edition of Good Fat Life. And as always, I am very excited about our special guest today. And it's not me. It is Karen Kline from Stay Tooned. And her company is aptly named, right? Because it's about sound.
It's aptly named. Unfortunately, it's not aptly spelled. When I went to get the LLC, state of Michigan, I wanted to spell tuned, T-U-N-E-D.
Right.
Turns out Michigan has a rock band, Stay Tooned, spelled T-U-N-E-D. So I had to change to the T-O-O.
Okay.
N-E.
All right. Well, when I saw that, what came to mind was
Cartoons.
the cartoons,
Yes.
right? But it still made me smile, so that's all good. So I met Karen at a sound bath meditation that she was doing. And one of the things that we love to do here at Good Fat Life is try new things. And we're always curating. You know, we spend hundreds of hours curating things to find that we think that our audience readers would enjoy. And so in the magazine, we have Good Fat Life magazine in print, and then we have it digital. But we also do workshops and events so that we can bring the magazine to life. Right?
Nice.
And so, yes. And so I heard about your what meditation? Would you call it? What do you call it?
I call it a sound bath.
A sound. Oh, that's right. I heard about your sound bath from a friend, so we went and tried it, and oh my gosh, I had the most relaxing evening hour. I thought maybe 5 minutes had gone by.
Yes, that's a common response.
Yeah. So tell us about that. So what is a sound bath, Karen?
A sound bath is a group meditation, like you're saying, to where you're literally laying on the floor and you're listening to the lovely sounds of Tibetan bowls and gongs. And as these frequencies are surrounding you, they're doing what they do, and they're reducing the stress levels in your body. And that's why as it goes on, you become more and more relaxed, and the time goes by faster and faster. And when it's over with, you just got to go, oh. I mean, you didn't notice, I noticed. But when the sound bath is done, I can tell somebody's response to it by after I say, when you're ready, you can open your eyes, how long it takes them to open their eyes, let alone even move. Everybody just doesn't want to leave that space. They want to lay there. You know?
I can verify that. Absolutely. Because you're just in such, you're in that like twilight la la land.
Well, your consciousness has been changed.
Yeah.
You know, and people, I refer to it as a meditation because basically it is. And they're concerned that if they don't have any previous experience meditating, that, you know, is it going to work for me? But they don't have to do anything. They just have to lay there, and the bowls and the gongs will work on the entrainment of the brain, and you're just going along for the ride.
All right. Well, it's a lovely, relaxing, magical ride. So,
It is.
Yeah, I want more. I want to just, wherever you're going to be doing these, I want to just be there.
And one session, whether it's a sound bath or sound therapy, builds on the next. I've had people come and they had a lovely experience. It was relaxing. And then they came to the second one and they'd say, oh, I went a little bit deeper this time. Then they come to the third one. They say, why am I seeing colors? And so, you know, your body remembers things. So it's not like every time you have a session, a bath, or a therapy, you're literally starting from scratch unless you let an extremely long period of time elapse in between. There's that cellular memory that you have.
You're building on that.
You are building on that, and that's why the experience that people will have each time will be a little bit different.
Okay.
You know, the first time people are always kind of not always going along with it as much as they're saying, okay, what's she doing now? Okay, so she went over there. Now she's playing that bowl. You know, they kind of start out, they're trying to understand it.
Okay.
And so that, you know, by the time the gongs kick in, they're beyond understanding it, and the gongs have them. But, you know, but up until...
You had me at the gong.
It's sort of like in a therapy session, you know, during the tuning forks, if it's a first time, because I start with the tuning forks for a therapy session, they're paying attention to the placement. They're paying attention to that sensation that's going through their body. It's relaxing them, but their mind is still very much engaged. By the time I get into the bowls, they let go at that point.
So let's talk about that. So what's the difference between a tuning fork and a therapy session and then a sound bowl meditation or sound bath?
Okay.
So what's the difference?
So the sound bath is literally that group meditation to where,
Okay.
like you're laying there and you're just being surrounded by frequencies and it's reducing your stress level. It's a hearing experience.
So, but you're actually playing crystal bowls. Is that
I do
right?
Tibetan bowls.
Oh, that's right. Okay. The
Yes.
Tibetan bowls. And that's a difference. There's a crystal bowl.
They are different.
And then a Tibetan bowl is a metal bowl.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
But they're different frequencies. They're tuned to different frequencies or sound levels of sound. What is
The
pitch?
difference between so
No, but like even the bowls you play, what makes them different? Why do you have multiple bowls? I guess is my
because
question.
they are tuned to different
Okay.
frequencies.
Okay.
And a Tibetan bowl, unlike a crystal bowl, but they have alchemy crystal bowls now, which correct this.
Okay.
The original crystal bowls were just tuned to a frequency, and I have a crystal bowl. They're lovely. I have a crystal pyramid. Crystal is lovely. It's effective. I'm a little traditionalist, but I also like the properties that come with a Tibetan bowl. A Tibetan bowl, if you look at it, it's going to have different diameters to it. Each diameter carries a frequency.
Okay.
So not only do you have the frequencies from the different diameters of the bowl, you have the different frequencies. There's probably 5 different metals inside of these bowls. Each of them will carry a frequency. So you now have a multitude of frequencies inside of this bowl. When they developed crystal alchemy bowls, they are now putting new things, metals and different gems inside of them. So now you're getting those properties as well. So they're not just monotoned. Tibetan bowls go back like 5,000 years. Just the history of them, how they're made, with the monks chanting prayers into them as if they're making them. They don't do that anymore. I do have one antique Tibetan bowl where it was done, but they're still hand hammered. There's still a lot of the original process that has moved forward. It's the history of it. I mean, these bowls were made to do what I'm doing with them and other things.
Why do I care about the frequencies? What does that do to my body?
So every cell in your body has a frequency.
Okay.
So you have as many cells as you have frequencies in your body.
Okay.
When these areas go out of balance, they've kind of fallen asleep, so there's a blockage. As I am introducing different frequencies to you, your body's listening, and it will recognize the frequency that is needed in order to correct that area that is out of balance. And it will do that through the process of resonance. So I can't accurately guess what frequency you're going to need. Therefore, I want to supply you with a multitude of them because your body can accurately determine what frequency it needs. So I'm going to give you an analogy.
Okay.
I think you're going to like this.
Okay.
There's a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Goldman. He is one of the founding pioneers of sound healing. He describes sound healing as saying there's a violinist. She's lost her sheet music. She's starting to play some wrong notes, a little off on the rhythm, throwing the rest of the string section off, and before long, the entire orchestra's out of tune. We can correct this problem by just returning the sheet music back to the violinist. I return the sheet music back to your body, and then your body says thank you, and it takes it from there. I can't determine exactly what you need, exactly where. I can get pretty close. I mean, that's why you go to school, so you can get pretty close. But I am perfectly fine giving it to your body and having your body say thank you.
So then what's the difference between the tuning forks and then the sound bath? You said one's more therapy?
So the therapy.
Okay.
Yeah, I use the tuning forks in the therapy session.
Okay.
In a sound bath, I use the bowls, the Tibetan bowls and the gongs. In a therapy session, I use the tuning forks and Tibetan bowls. I've got a couple other healing instruments that I'll throw in, and I'll play a little bit of the gong, but those really are my two workhorses. A tuning fork, unlike bowls, is very specifically tuned.
Okay.
It doesn't have a now it's going to have like 50 harmonics in it of that specific frequency, but it doesn't have, the different frequencies like bowls have. So you're not only dealing with a very specific frequency, you're dealing with a very direct placement when I'm using on-body tuning forks.
Okay.
Because you have on-body and off-body. So when I place an on-body tuning fork right here, it's going right there. And that frequency will go through your skin, through your bones, through your fluid, and then it'll go throughout your body. But the most concentrated form is right there here where I've placed it. So that gives you a very specific and very direct tool to use when you're trying to make changes. They break up patterns beautifully. I can get into areas very specifically with the tuning fork.
Because it changes the frequency in that space.
It corrects it.
Okay.
It corrects it. I to say it changes it means that I'm going to create a completely different frequency, but it changes it. So think of if you have an area that the frequency is just out of tune. It's chaotic. So instead of being it's okay, that's the difference. That's the difference.
Some days, that.
So I'm going to take the tuning fork and I'm going to put it in that area that's going and it's going to listen to this very coherent sound that the tuning fork makes.
Okay.
And a coherent sound is much stronger than a chaotic sound. So it will win by default because it's stronger. But pretty soon it'll go from being and that's how I change it.
And so would you, just like an example, so if I came to you because my neck was sore, right? So you would adjust the frequency, or you would correct the frequency with your tuning forks in my neck. Is that what you're saying to me?
So if you have a sore neck, and you probably have a blockage there. So what's happened is you have a lot of cells in that area that have just kind of fallen asleep. They're not up to full par. So their frequency has been diminished. It's weakened. They're falling asleep. So you take sound, whether you do it with a bowl, whether you do it with a tuning fork. There's so many very amazing sound instruments that work. And what happens is it goes into that area. It wakes up that cell. It reminds it of its frequency. And when it's reminded of its frequency, then it's reminded of its purpose. You get rid of that blockage, and now you have a flow. I mean, a healthy body is a body that has very good, steady flow of energy throughout the entire body.
Right. So it's fascinating. Right?
I mean, you can break. I mean, if it's a really tight knot, I mean, there's two ways. There's two ways you're going to address it. You're either going to create resonance there, which as I described, or you're going to go in there, and with the tuning fork, you're going to just put that tuning fork right there. And it's going to break it up. It's going to break a pattern. You have this pattern of being, and it's going to break that pattern. And hopefully when it breaks that pattern, it's going to remember its pattern and go, I'm supposed to be going, instead.
Okay. All right. And so how, I guess I would say, how long does that vibration last?
So the effects after the therapy session is over? Yeah. That depends upon the cause of the problem.
Okay.
You have to, whatever the underlying cause is, it has to be addressed or it's going to keep returning.
Yeah. Okay.
But what I'm treating is the symptom of the underlying cause, I can certainly take care of that. But if there's an underlying cause, it has to be addressed as well. I mean, if somebody comes to me and says, my hand hurts, and I remove the pain from the hand, they go home and they hit it with the hammer again, it's going to hurt again, But realistically, that's what people really need to understand in any type of energy work or anything in general. We give you tools. We get you in a position to where your body can really start doing a lot of healing, but you've got to continue to support that body. So, I mean, you can't come to me every day. So you have to figure out what are the things that are throwing me out of balance, and you pay attention. And for as many of them as you can eliminate, you try and eliminate. We can't eliminate all of them. And if there's a disease I'll give you an example. I had it's funny to me now. It wasn't funny to me then. Part of my training when I went to Windmill Sound Health at the very end is you have to do a 2-hour residency. So I have to do 200 hours, which I can't be compensated for. They have to be documented, and it has to be improved by my instructor.
Okay.
So I had a lot of people come to me for free. I had a woman come to me, and she has muscular dystrophy. She'd had it for a very, very long time. The allopathic world, they really didn't have anything more to offer her. So she was curious. So she gets on my table, and I start to work on her. Oh, Sherri, her body was fighting the changes that were trying to be made as I'm introducing these frequencies. And she was just jumping it was anything but a relaxing experience for her. It was uncomfortable, actually. And I didn't do a full hour because I was rattled. And when she got up, we talked for a little while. I told her what I thought was happening. I also told her I will be calling my instructor as soon as you're done to figure this out. And she went on her way. And typically, if somebody's coming to me for the first time, or if there's something specific I'm working on, any energy work, there's a 3-day process that your body will go through. I'll wait until that 4th day, and I'll call them up and say, so how are you feeling? How did it go? I really dreaded making this phone call to this woman. I thought I was never going to see her again. I thought after what she went through, I'm done. But I called her, and she says, Karen, it took her a couple of days, but she says, I am noticeably better. I want to do this again. And I had talked to Julie before I called her, and Julie said, keep doing it. The body will resonate to this. It's just because of what the underlying cause was, it wasn't an easy resonance. She said, keep doing it. It'll get better and better. It took a while before it got better to the point that she literally could fall asleep on my table. But she hung in there because she was noticing a difference every time, and she had no other alternatives. And this, of course, has no side effects to it either. She's still my client. So again, I can give her relief. There have been, over the years, because I graduated in 2017, over the years, I've had maybe a handful of times to where she's gotten up off of my table and said, my God, it feels like it's gone. That's a handful of times. But she can be having a very difficult time walking into my house, going upstairs, or even getting in and out of her car. And when she leaves, she feels grounded, she's balanced, she has mobility. I forgot where I was going with this, but it depends upon the day. I can't get rid of the muscular dystrophy.
Right.
I can't do that.
Right.
But I can give her some relief. I can give her moments of comfort.
That's right. So what I'm kind of hearing you say is that there's like different paths. It depends on your body, right?
And for her, it depends upon the weather as well, as far as it's going to hold. The muscular dystrophy is not going to go away.
Right.
But, sometimes the treatment won't hold as long if it's really cold outside, because that just tightens her up even more.
Right. And and that affects our cells. The cold will affect our cells.
And with her, it's her muscles. But your muscles are cells as well.
Right. So it's seriously, it's fascinating. So
it's very fascinating. You could go down a rabbit hole for hours.
Yeah.
I will never learn all that there is to learn about this as long as I keep doing this. It's because they're discovering more and more. Technology has become so sophisticated that they can now read energy so that they can really make a lot of discoveries. And because they can use the technology to work on, it's going to amazing places. I can't do the things they do with tuning forks and bowls, but I'm really excited for where it's going.
But you just think about sound in general, right?
Absolutely.
We've always known that different music will change our moods.
Absolutely. Look what it does with people with Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it's with the sound. And here, kind of like I said, at Good Fat Life, we are always wanting to explore ways that, like you said, tools in your toolbox
Absolutely.
that we can have, so that when we need a little pickup, or we want to celebrate something, whatever it is, we can go, oh, okay, I just read about book therapy, which
Okay.
I'd never, as a word, it's been around for over 100 years.
I've never heard of it either.
You know, where we use, I am a book maniac, and but you know, using books to change our moods, and
Sure.
and right, we know that.
Sure.
If you're a reader, you know that that's why we read. because-
Absolutely. Why some do romance, why some do horror, why some do autobiographies.
Exactly, adventure. There's so many, but I'm so excited to have found you and the work you're doing, because it's like an intentional thing I can add to my self-care like toolbox.
Absolutely.
Right, and I love that, and I also love that it's accessible to anybody.
It is.
Right? It's so
It is.
anybody can come to your classes, and I think what I've read, so if somebody is not comfortable laying on the floor, they can sit in a chair.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They need to decide what makes them the most comfortable.
Right.
I wouldn't lie on the floor myself.
Okay.
Because my body at this stage of my life would get up and say, shouldn't have done that. So I would like a zero gravity chair. I've seen people come in with bean bags. I've seen people come in with air inflation devices. They come up with all kinds of things, you know. But they know better than I know what's going to make them comfortable. And that's a very important part. I mean, it's really hard for you to enjoy yourself and relax and really get the full benefit of where these bowls and gongs are taking you if you're doing this all the time.
Yeah, if you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that is, yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming and sharing this with us. And
I appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to doing your retreat in October. I think that's going to be a wonderful experience for people.
It is, and that's one of the things. Like I said, we're always looking for things that we can share with our community. That is just another modality, if you will.
It is.
That helps them go out and live their good fat life. Right?
Exactly. And you know, there's so many. There's nothing more frustrating to be in a state of stress or fear and feel like you're a victim. And there's so many, even if people, they can always do breath work. You know what I'm saying? They can learn breath work. They can always do breath work. That's with them 24/7. And there are so many other modalities that they can learn that are always with them, that they don't need to be carrying any tools or anything with them. I can't be in their pocket all the time. So it's really good for people to have some tool that they can pull out of their pocket so they don't feel like a victim, so they can break that pattern.
Right. It is. You're right. And that's why we do this. That's our whole point, is to,
So you
create
realize you have choices. I mean, there's things you can do. You're not a victim.
Right. No, you're not. And we get to choose. You said that right.
Yes.
That's one thing we love to say, is that we always get to choose.
Exactly.
We always get to choose.
And putting that information out there so that people understand the choices that they have is important, because to say you have the right to choose, but you're sitting there thinking, okay, but what do I want to choose, you know? So for them to have the knowledge of things that they can choose from and then decide what works for them, that's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling. It's empowering.
It is.
Right? So my grandson will sometimes say, I'm bored. And
I've heard that.
and we'll go, that's on you, buddy. Because
Yes.
there are so many things that you can do, you can choose to do.
And they need to
Right.
learn to make
Right.
that choice and not look for somebody else to do it for them.
Right. And because it's like, okay, well, I can choose for you. You may not like it, but
Yeah.
right. So, okay, well, good. Well, so one of the things that is really important to another choice I made is on caring for my clothes. And I go to Snedicor's Cleaners because they have these big yellow bags that I can put my clothes in, my rugs, my comforters, whatever needs to be cleaned. And I put it on my door and it comes back all clean and fluffy and No smell. There's no chemicals. They use a sand base, a silicone base that's actually cleaner than, it cleans the clothes so that they're actually better than they were when they were new.
And no chemicals.
And no chemicals.
I've used them. They're good.
Yeah, and no chemicals, and nothing goes into the environment that's going to those little tiny particles that come out of your clothes when you wash them. And I just love the freedom of knowing that I'm always going to have something clean and ready to go.
Absolutely.
And I made the mistake of doing something quick this weekend cooking, and I didn't have an apron on, and I splattered grease all over myself. One of my favorite shirts that my granddaughter gave me. And so, but yet I know, okay, Snedicor will take care of this. And it was, so I didn't stress, but note to self, wear an apron.
And they have several locations, so they're easy to get to.
Well, no, they pick up. They don't have locations anymore. They have
that's great.
It's all 100% pickup and delivery.
Oh, that's it. Even to people like me in the country?
Yes, even to people like you in the country.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
That's
so
nice.
It is very nice. So Snedicor's Cleaners is one of my favorite self-care tools in my toolbox.
Good.
So, so again, thank you so much. One of the things I like to ask is if somebody is hearing this and they don't know where to start, what would you suggest that they do?
Well, I would suggest they start with a sound bath.
Okay.
For two reasons. Well, let me back up. If they do not have something specific that they need me to address, I would start with the sound bath, because the biggest difference between the two is in a sound therapy session, it's all about your energy, what's going on in your body, and what we need to change for you. A sound bath is very general. I'm not working on anyone there. It's just very general. So that being said, a sound bath is a nice place to start because you'll get a feel of it. Some people feel a little more comfortable trying something new if they're in a group setting versus a personal situation. The other reason is to get a sound therapy session out of me, it's by referral only because my treatment room is in my home. So I don't advertise it. One way to refer yourself to me is by attending a sound bath, coming up afterwards, introducing yourself, talking to me for a few minutes.
Okay. Okay, good to know. And we'll have all of your contact information in the show notes.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes. So on that happy note, let's go out and live our good fat life today.